Chapter 10, A New Family. Life at the Peace Mission was unsteady. Father's health was declining, and he was starting to talk low and slow. A new religious group had been sniffing around, trying to see what we were all about. One day, a bus with 30 people on it showed up on the property. They were with the People's Temple, led by a tall charismatic guy named Jim Jones. Jones was there to meet with Father and Mother Divine, but his followers were given other orders, to spread out and investigate. Within seconds of stepping off the bus, they were all over the place, like ants. I saw them scatter everywhere. On my way back to the quarters, a young man named Richard stopped me. He was tall and thin with long brown hair. He asked me if I could show him to the bathroom. I walked him to the quarters and showed him the big public bathroom that I no longer used. "Hey, where's your room?" he asked casually. I pointed to the room at the end of the hall. He went to the bathroom, and I went to my room. Within minutes he walked down the hall to my room and opened the door. He walked in and paced around, looking at my fishing gear. Then he went to my bed and lay on it, gesturing for me to come forward. I did not. Then he moved his hands down to his pants to undo the buckle. I turned and ran for the door. I ran down the hall to Happy Love and told him about the man who had come to my room. Within 20 minutes, everybody from the People's Temple was rounded up and boarding their bus. They weren't only leaving because of what happened to me. Something happened at Jones' meeting with Father and Mother that caused them to hightail it out of there. When my 10th birthday rolled around in February, Father planned something special for my party. I didn't know it, but he had asked all the chefs to go to the library and look up all the Mexican recipes they could find. That night I was surprised when dinner was nothing but Mexican food: enchiladas, burritos, rice and beans. Eyebrows raised around the room when that dinner was served because nobody was to receive special treatment, not even on their birthday. Again the special treatment led to hushed whispers behind my back. One man hated me in particular. His name was David Guileless, an old German man who wore thick, black-rimmed glasses and spoke with a deep, angry voice. He was the meanest son of a bitch I ever met. His job was to make reproductions of the historic furniture, and repair the antiques on the property. He took it upon himself to make another job out of yelling and swearing at me whenever I walked by his shop. One day he flat out said, "I don't like you because you are a non-believer. You don't believe Father Divine is God." The next time I was called to Father, I told him about the people who were being mean to me and about David's anger that I didn't believe he was God. "I have a secret to tell you, Master Tommy," Father said. "It's something you can't tell anybody here." I agreed and moved close to his desk. "I am not God, Tommy." He waited a moment for the words to sink in. I'd always had my doubts that he himself believed this, but I was still shocked that he told me. "But it's important that all of the people here think I am. Do you understand?" "Yes, Father," I said. "Promise me you will never tell them," he said. "I will never tell anyone, Father," I promised. "The most important thing you need to know, Tommy, is that you are to treat everybody with dignity and respect, no matter what race, creed, color, religion or station in life. Take care of the elderly, and be a voice for those that have no voice," he said. "Do you understand?" "I do understand, Father." I promised that day to keep the secret that Father Divine was not God, and I did, well into my adult years. From that time, when I heard people say that I didn't believe he was God, it didn't bother me one bit. I knew he wasn't God. He didn't trust any of them to know what he told me. Another moment made it clear to me that I was not like the other followers. A new boy came to school one day and I was hanging out with Kenny and my other friends from our rat pack. The kid hadn't been in class long when he came up to me and said, "Hey, aren't you that Mexican kid who doesn't know who his father is? Don't you live up in that castle with that white woman and that nig?" He barely finished getting the word out when I punched him in the face. I was sent to the office, and the school called Woodmont to tell them I'd been in a fight. By the time I got home, everybody knew what had happened. I got fired up that night getting ready for banquet, knowing I was going to tell Father about it. I was sure he would be on my side. That night at banquet he gestured for me to come to him. All eyes were on me as I stepped forward. I heard something wrong happened at school today, he said. I'll tell you everything, father, I replied. This boy at school, he said I don't know who my father is, and he called you that word you said I can't use. That word that starts with N, Negro? He asked. No, father, worse than that. Ah, he said, and a hint of a smile crossed his face. It's not good to hit, Tommy. Yes, father, I replied, and you don't ever have to question who your father is. I am your father. He was deadly serious. I didn't know if he meant he was my father in the way everybody around the movement referred to him as father, or if he meant for real. That night as Happy and I left the banquet through the front door of the house by the limos in the porte-cochere, Mississippi St. Mary Bloom came running out after us and stopped me in my path. I have a message for you, Tommy, directly from Father Divine to you, she said, bending down to talk to me. He wants to make sure you never question who your father is. He is your father. Does he mean in that spiritual way that he says to everybody? I asked. No, Tommy, not spiritual, she replied. He has instructed me to start the papers to adopt you right away. Thank you, Mississippi St. Mary Bloom. I left with my heart a little lighter that day. I had a father. A real one.